Karen the Warp Spinster here. Thank you for spending time with me today. I'm glad to see you. I'm always glad to see you. Today we're going to do a bit more on our slice and splice blocks. A couple more things I want to try. And mostly I want to work with larger blocks because if you watched last week's video, you saw that I was having it go from larger to smaller and then off to just bits of color. So I thought I would try working with some larger blocks. So last week I already had this one pieced, but hadn't done any of the slicing yet. And this I started with 4.5-inch squares. I don't know why. I think I was going for 5 because we have those, call them snack packs. Oh dear, charm squares, there we go. But 5 looked too big, so I did 4.5, I don't know. And then I also did one with 3-inch squares because I had some 3-inch strips of these that I thought I could use. And then I thought, well, what if I do some 9 patches? So I did a 9 patch with the fabric that I recently got. Again, I am pressing the seams open because I don't know how these are going to end up coming together, and it's just more versatile if I do that. The exception is this one, which I did my usual way just because I needed some photos for the newsletter. So my plan for these is, and I think, which one will I start with? Let's start with this one. Got a little bigger canvas to work with. And I want to do what we were doing with the stadium checkers bandshell cabbage patch thing, is to have them start narrow and then go wider. So it will, and I could of course do that anywhere. I could do it like in the center and go that way. What I'm thinking I want to do is have it be kind of like rays going out from somewhere. I was thinking from here, but maybe I want it from here. No, I think I want it from here. This is going to be very crowded down there. If I do it from here, I think I've got more options. So maybe one like this, and one going up here, and one going that way. Not even at all. I don't want them to be the same, but the same broadening. So it's kind of a spike sort of look. So I think one is going to have to go out to the side here. So I will do this, and then because it's going to get wider, and this is what I will lose if I don't cut more out. So if I were to just put in a spike shape there, this ends up like this, and then I'm going to cut off so much of that. So I want to take some out of here. I'm not going to be, as you can see, really precise about it. And then I can use this somewhere. It will go in my crumb box. And I think I will put that together before I make other cuts. So I need to pull out my bin here, and I'm really liking this me and my sister's thing. So I think I might put that in, grab a couple more where I'm at it. I have a lot of things that are about the same width. I don't know what happened there, but this might be all right for a side. Don't have a lot of length, but I might be able to work that in somewhere. It's a little tiny peak of green there, which I'll probably lose as the world goes. I have a wider piece here I was doing for a binding for a project bag. Red always is fun with black and white, don't you think? Although I'm not sure it goes very well with that, I have to say. But let's first of all do this one, and then we'll worry about the others. This one is long enough The one in the middle, I think, can be quite a bit wider. And they don't have, it doesn't have to be an equal increase on both sides. I'm almost wondering if this isn't too narrow. If we had more option here. I think what I'm going to do, honestly, is sew this side on first. Or maybe I'll sew this side on first. Yes. Who's on first? What's on second? And then I can trim it to how I want. That will mitigate the possibility or probability that I will visualize something wrong and have a mess on my hands. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this on, and then I will press it and see how I might want to cut that. I can tell already that I'm going to be doing a lot of editing out throat clearings. I went out to water the plants and the birds this morning and didn't take my allergy meds before I went out. And I have to water the birds because, frankly, if I don't do it on the time frame they like, they will scream at me. Last summer they took to screaming at me at dawn, which was kind of fair enough because the deer were drinking the water overnight. However, the 3 German shepherds next door seemed to be discouraging the deer. So the birds will still tell me when the water isn't fresh enough to suit them. Now, if I drop this down, see, I'm going to have that trim there. So if I lose a little bit, if I lose this down here, that's not as critical to me as losing this. And I like having it shifted down. Now, if I were smart, I would have given myself more over here, but of course, so that mistake or wrong thinking that I thought I was going to do if I didn't do this ahead of time, I went ahead and did it anyway. So I think this will work, and I'll lose quite a bit of this, but I have a piece left I can use somewhere. I'm just gonna flip this, give it a sew, and then decide on the next. I'm going to trim off the bottom part here just so I don't make some goofy mistake with that hanging in there. And this goes into my crumb bin, scrap bin. And then this is going to be trimmed something like this, but I'm going to wait until I get further, I think. This is pretty wide, this green bit. So I'm almost thinking, am I thinking? I want to tighten up this seam more. Lesson learned. I have an idea about what I might do with this. Okay. I'm wondering if I maybe don't want to do this one next. Nope, I'm going to do the center. And make this one narrower, still the spike shape, but narrower. I'm going to be running into the seam, but I'm going to be running into seams. It's just the way it is. I want this one to go this way, and more narrow. That's too small for the crumb. Lose it all in seams, even if I scant seam would still lose something. All right, so this is the center one. It's going to be pretty narrow, so let me do this one. Give myself plenty of out, both top and bottom. Oh yeah, I like that, those two together. And then I'll come back and trim it to the spike shape. I'm wanting this to be pretty narrow. This is going to be my widest spot up here. I don't even mind if this gets taken into the seam down here. I'm actually all right with that. And of course this one I had way more leeway than I needed here. That can go back in crumb. And now, decide how this is going to go. That actually, I think, could stay that way. Sometimes I like having this sort of offbeat thing in one corner. There's one block I did that was my favorite that had that little offbeat thing in the corner. So I kind of like that. And we'll do some thinking about what's going on there. I'm going to trim off a little bit of the extraneous here. And now I need one just down here. Just a short one. And what color would I like? If I have something that will work in that a short space, but not too short, I may have to head down to, oh, we've got this, that'd be too much pink right next to each other. I have this pink bit. Thinking I want maybe some yellow or some orange there, actually. That yellow is too small. What happens if we do blue? Nope, I think I really want yellow or orange. Nope. All right, I'm going to have to go down and look at my stash downstairs, I guess. I will be back. I found a couple of oranges. This one's kind of gold. This is a bright or a deep orange. And I don't think that's right for it. I think that's too something. This one is pretty close to that, but it makes it look dull. So maybe I need a bright yellow, which means I have to go back down again. I'm finding cool things though. I just found a pink and black and white print that I really like. So we'll see what else I discover. And I'm back with some various yellows, golds, oranges. This is a more muted color, softer color. Not sure that will work. Here's Screaming Yellow, which sometimes I buy Screaming Yellow because I can't wear it, so I want to use it in everything else. I don't look good in it when I wear it. It's not that I can't wear it. And then I have one of my fabrics that I used in, what did I use this in? Oh yes, this is in Halfway Round. And then an orange that I've used before. So let's see how each of these works. Nope. That's kind of the yellow I'm looking for. That's a little bit too screaming, maybe. This one is a little bit on the, I almost want to say green side. I don't know how it's showing up on the camera. Not bad, but not, and this is too dull. So depends on what kind of mood I want to generate. And it's not going to be this large, of course. I think I'm going to go with the Screaming Yellow because I can. And we'll see how it looks. So this is just going to be a small one, which is one of the reasons I can go with Screaming Yellow. I may have said it before, but a little yellow goes a long way. Your eye really, especially this screaming color, it can really take over. And let's go to about here, maybe. Cut some off this. And again, I might even make this smaller still. I kind of have a choice, several choices, of course. I could do another wide one so that it's balanced, sort of symmetrical. Or I could narrow it so that it goes from wide to narrow. And because it's yellow, I think I might do it quite narrow. Otherwise, it will take over. So I am going to just stitch this on, give myself plenty of leeway. I don't need this much. And then I'll be back and cut the spikes. And I'm adding quite a bit at the top because I know when this happens that I'm going to need some extra up here. And whatever is extra I can use, just throw in the the crumb tin, and have it available for future. I think that was the right choice. I'm happy with that yellow there. And the question then becomes, do I want to shift anything? I think I might want to shift it a little bit. I'll lose some of this down here. Not terribly worried about it. I have enough up there, so I'm doing about this kind of angle, but I need some seam allowance in there. Okay. And I'm shifting, oops, I'm shifting it the other way. If I shift it this way, then I lose all of this. So I think I want to shift it indeed this way. So that seam isn't going to match up. I did pretty well matching those up across there, didn't I? All right. So I'll stitch that and we'll call this almost done, but I have an idea for this. This actually would be kind of fun as a fan shape block. But that might be for another day. Let's see how it will work when we trim. I didn't trim that exceedingly well, but and I am squaring these up so they have straight and parallel sides. Because that's how I envision putting this together, but I may end up putting them at angles anyway, so it won't matter. There's a block, but I think this needs a little something, and you probably know where I'm going. I didn't start out with stripe, but I think I'm there now. At least a black and white print somewhere here. I have a stripe. This may be way too big a stripe, and I would want it to be on the bias, but let me cut a little strip off here just so we can see. I do have a nice bias area right there I could use. What if we did something like that? Oh, I like it. I like that a lot. So guess who's going to be making a narrow bias strip? This does not appear straight to me. Some side is not like the other. One of them has to, well, I can split the difference. Trim both sides a little bit. Because now that I've said I want it to be parallel sides, it will drive me up the wall if they are not parallel. Yes, I like that. I'm off to make a bias strip. I could just use this and do a raw edge applique kind of thing, or zigzag or decorative stitch on there. But I think I just want it to speak for itself. So I'm going to try making a narrow bias and I'll be back. Happy accident. While I was truing it up to a true bias so I'd have a 45-degree angle in the bias strip, I now have this piece which could, if I did 4 patches in bright colors, and then this could be inserted, so it would be the reverse of this. So happy accident there. I'm not sure I had consciously thought about that. Might have been in the back of my head. Maybe it was the universe telling me, yes, do this. And so here's my bias strip. I do not, however, want it to go straight. I'm going to want it to curve. That's why I had it on the bias. Could almost be a little bit narrower, but that would be a good way to burn the living daylights out of my fingers. They're already in kind of rum shape. So I am going to do a stitch on the edge. It's going to be in white thread. I could use invisible. Maybe I want to use invisible because I want this bias strip to just kind of be its own little star. All right, invisible thread, probably just a zigzag stitch. I could also just top stitch it, but I think a bias is a little bit wiggly to be trying to do a decent top stitch on. For me, anyway. You all are probably much better at it than I am. Oh, and I used a Clover bias tape maker. This gives me 1/4 inch tape. I hope I will remember to put in the description below the video where I demonstrate how to use these if you haven't used one yet. I will see you back here with, hopefully, a finished bias embellishment. I'm loving how that turned out. And I always, of course, besides having a wide black and white stripe, I always have to think about a circle in there, and I think this space needs a circle. I'm not sure it needs that color of circle or in that particular place, but I think it needs an orange circle there. I wonder if that's too dark. I had a bright orange somewhere, which now I can't find. Maybe I probably took it back downstairs because it was too bright. This isn't a circle, but this is roughly how bright that orange was. I want something in between, I think. And it will need some interfacing or something behind it so that the black and white doesn't shadow through. That's amazingly, I think, about where I want it. It seems kind of centered to me, but I think that space needs it. I also started to cut out a small circle, that same fabric. I'll just freehand one, which is going to be pretty pathetic. I'll just warn you ahead of time. I'm not very good at freehand circles. It will give you your amusement for the day. All right. So we could have something bubbling up. So this is like a fountain. I always have to have something, some story behind it. Have you noticed that? Ooh, kind of liking that idea. And maybe that color is okay. Let me do another circle that's kind of in between those two, maybe. I'm just really hacking up fabric here. It's a little bit sad, but I can always use crumbs. And, oops, sorry. And I could, I don't know why, I think you want to watch me cut a bad circle. Oh, that is a bad circle, but we get the idea then. Ooh. I like it. I didn't think I was going to like that color either, but it adds some softness, I think, that I wasn't expecting it to need or want or for me to like, honestly. But I do like it. I like it a lot. So what I will end up doing is cutting better circles than this. But I think about this size and out of that fabric, and then I'll line it with a little bit of interfacing or batting or something. It's not shadowing through too badly here as I'm looking at it, but I'm sure it could easily do that. I like that very much. This could be its own little piece. I don't know if it necessarily fits in with this bunch, but it might be a possibility. I'm almost thinking I might want something in between, like, oops, sorry, keep doing this to you. Camera's a little lower than usual, and I'm running off of screen here. That isn't half bad. This down here, everything up, I guess I could, no, I think I'm zoomed all the way out. I could add another strip like this down here. You remember this? Ooh, if I could find more of that fabric. I don't know if I have any more of that. That's a lot coming together right there. Well, anyway. So there's a possibility. I'm wondering if I want, so these are predominantly moving outward, the lines outward from there, or have them be a little more, well, that's got both. A lot of green going on there. Those, oh, that might be kind of fun going together, but it probably won't once the seam is in there. Anyway, this is, I'm thinking, not too bad right here. As I said last week, these blocks are so much fun to make. I don't think it would trouble me to make more and do the design that I showed last time. I'm pretty sure this is going to be way too much, but just because it's handy here, oh my, yikes. So plain black there might work nicely. I might take a photo of this and drop it on my iPad, see how it will look with black. Let me see if I have some plain black fabric floating around nearby I can put under there to see. Found some black strips. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It looks, the arrangement looks like a medallion quilt to me, a traditional medallion quilt, and they're beautiful. I love them. I'm not saying I don't like them. It's just not fitting for this modern look and what I'm trying to do with it. So I think it's either going to be something more like this, and it may not be this rigid, although that, and I wouldn't want much more to it because that is a lot going on. I don't know that this big white bit fits there. It's the only, well, hey, you know, I don't hate this. It sort of cuts off that block, but that's a possibility too. Pardon me while I make you seasick. See if I can, there we go, to see more of my funky, messy workspace. And that sort of brings greens in here. It's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. Be losing some of this. What if I do this? Looks like a green tangle, doesn't it? Well, something to think about. I think that's going to be it for today. I did have those other 4-patch and was that? No, that was the 9-patch, wasn't it? Yes, the other 2 sizes of 4 patches, but this was basically what I was going to try doing with them, and we've covered that. So if I decide to go ahead with this one being separate or a new quilt that I do other things to, if I put these together in the layout that I came up with last week, where it's starting out larger and going smaller, I think I would use those and just do more of what I did here. What I think I want to do next, and let me know if this is of interest to you, is to segue more into circles. Piecing circles, which would be larger circles, and things that we could do with the circles once we've done it, adding circles into what we already have, putting in rings, just start covering some of that next week. If that's of interest to you, that's what I'll plan on doing. If it's not of interest to you, well, I don't know. I might do it anyway. Sorry about that, but it's in my head now, so I have to start working on it. I'd like to do just a couple of updates on my quilting life. Number one, I've been wanting to show Halfway Round, which has been on my quilting machine for a while. It turns out that Molly needs a new motor, which is fair. She's getting older. She's, I don't know, I probably had her 15, 20 years, and she's never had a new motor. She's been in for maintenance. She's been to the clinic and has done some of that, but the clinic is on the other side of the state, so it's a full day's job to get out there and bring her back. Anyway, so I will do that, but you're not going to see Halfway Round until I can find a way to work that into the schedule. The other thing is that my business model is changing a bit. I've been doing classes primarily on Skillshare, and there just isn't much of a call for quilting, at least what I'm doing with quilting on Skillshare. I mean, it's been decent, but I really think that most of my followers or people who are interested in my quilts are not on Skillshare. There isn't a lot of quilting on there, so that if that's your main focus, then you're just not going to find a lot else on Skillshare, at least not this sort of thing. So I will be moving some of the classes to my Thinkific classroom, and I'll be adding classes to that classroom, and I'm going to try to keep them affordable. This isn't going to be one of those $350 things and you get 600 emails. I really am going to try to keep them affordable because I know people have a lot of things going on in their lives and resources are not always there. I will continue to do these videos, so folks who really have limited resources at this point and want to just have some fun playing. I have too much fun with these to give them up, and I like spending time with you too much to give them up. So you will be finding more classes in my Thinkific classroom. I'm also, some of the classes that were on Skillshare were step-by-step videos of, I think maybe 6 or 8 of my quilt patterns. And I think I'm sure I'm going I'm going to move that over to Etsy, and I'm going to bundle access to those videos with the pattern. So I'll have one that's just the pattern, and my reviews are saying they're finding my patterns easy to follow, and I'm happy to hear that. So that's always an option. But then I also want to give people the option of having those videos, and they're step by step. Some of them are, most of them actually are pretty beginner friendly, and I do go step by step. So hopefully those will be helpful as well. And I haven't set a price for those yet. I've still got a lot of moving and shifting of things to do yet. But there will be some of my patterns, which are not these improv. Well, one kind of is. But if you're interested in doing more traditional but still kind of a modern look quilts, then I will have some videos attached to a bundle in my Etsy shop. Of course, you're always welcome to go and visit my shameless plug, I guess. I've got a lot of patterns. I think 40 or 50 patterns are up now in my Etsy shop for downloading. Instant gratification. And we don't have to worry about what the postal service or other services are, what challenges they are facing. So anyway, that's the end of the shameless plug. Next week I will plan on doing circles unless you say, heck no, we don't want to have anything to do with circles. And then I'll figure something else out. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Please like it and comment. Comments help people on YouTube to see what we're doing. It just helps with the engagement. And especially if you know somebody who might be interested in this sort of thing, please let them know. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. All of that shameless promotion out of the way. I will see you next week. And in the meantime, be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.